Greetings there, fellow islanders. Rhadamant here. Thank you for tuning in to the first episode of a new series covering Whiskerwood named Pirate Seas. If you would like to skip the game's overview or the setup of this series, please use YouTube chapters. Whiskerwood is a city-building strategy game where you settle islands as colonizing mice for your oppressive cat overlords. Routine and punitive taxes are levied against you, forcing you to strip the island of its natural resources and beauty, or perhaps you can try to rebel against the fat cats. The game mechanics is very similar to Timberborn for like building and the like, but not really a focus on water management, but instead industry chains. For this specific series, I'll be playing the Pirate Seas scenario. This part of the ocean is teeming with pirates. The ransom demands are greedier, but smuggled cargo fetches higher prices. Tax ships are less frequent. I'll be playing a normal difficulty with everything else set on default. Let's name our colony Bastion. That works. And I am going to random off an apprentice who's pessimist. I'm going to random off a few attempted mice starters here for ones I might like. And I don't want any monarchists because that's gonna like end up being a problem in the long run. I would like ideally an apprentice of something, as this is a new game mechanic introduced in the early access version. So having apprenticeships is very nice. This will work. Perfect. So let's get going. Heading into Bastion. So about the goal of this series, as I just said, I am playing the early access version on medium difficulty with the Pirate Seas scenario. The ultimate goal is to stoke the fires of rebellion and revolt against the crown. But initially we're going to have to rely upon the crown because we won't be self-reliant. Not at the start. So here we are at the Archipelago chain of Bastion. And we need to pick a starting island. The island they put us next to is a pretty good one. What you're going to want to find
Royal
is...
Scout ships identified your assigned archipelago as a potential colony. As part of the Royal Scouting Commission of 1681, 72 such colonies have successfully been established as a result of those brave Claw's efforts. By the King's graceful guidance, yours could be the 73rd such colony. Your most important building will be the trade dock. Without it, your colony cannot repay its debts. Therefore, I implore you to choose an island and construct your dock. Look for ample trees and berry bushes nearby.
Okay. We want trees and berries nearby. Berries aren't required, but they are nice. So in order to pick a starting island, sometimes it's possible to pick islands that are adjacent to one another and resource exploit both. But I think I'm going to pick this center island here. There seems to be a lot of good farming in this section, and there's trees and berries and flax in this section. So putting my landing dock maybe here, I like it. Let it rip. All right, now that we've picked a landing location, one issue with this landing location, I will say right off the bat, is the exploitable ores that are adjacent to the dock, meaning copper and coal, there's not a lot of, and it's not very close. So I'm going to have to rely on exporting flax, cotton, or timber in order to keep the fat cats happy. Likely. So let's go ahead and unload our initial 5. And all 5 have been raffled off to my Patreon patrons, so I'm going to name them accordingly.
Warehouses are vital to preserving the market value of your tax contributions. Each warehouse has a limited capacity. Watch that you do not satiate your warehouse's capacity on worthless goods. Focus on storing resources that will benefit the kingdom: logs, cotton, and ores. These goods will keep during long voyages and supply work for whiskers in the royal factories. To reduce carry distances, you should construct the included central warehouse schematic near your trade dock.
Okay, we're putting it near the trade dock. And then we'll be able to unload our initial supplies. Turtle and Agent Venom, thank you for the resub, and Glitch for the cheer. All right, here's the first wave of supplies. And what's important about this is we ultimately end up paying for this stuff, right, from the crown. So we've got hardtack, logs, machinery, and woven cloaks.
Congratulations to you and your fellow colonists. Under commission of the king, it is my privilege to offer this colony charter. You embark on a mission worthy of the greatest of whiskers, and all of your kind shall thank you for your efforts. As you tame these wild lands and earn the payment for your taxes, you are doing more than any whisker before you. With your sweat, you secure the means by which some industrious whiskers might enjoy safety. Serve your king faithfully, and his peace will reign over these islands.
Okay, so here are the resources accepted as payment. It's a wider array of resources than the demo, so things like iron ore or potash or tin can be sold, and then gold bullion from smugglers. We already owe 135 in debt. And right off the bat, I am going to name our lovely starting whiskers. So let's get that going. You, my little friend, let's see. We got Qatar Lilin. We've got Weirlig. We've got Nabla. Madzi. And if I could click the other one, they're like on top of one another. There we go. Last but not least, Brickfire. Okay, first thing we want to do is to start resource exploitation. So, let's get a mining camp up, because our initial houses are going to be made of stone, and we'll be able to mine for that. So I'll put the mining camp right here. Let's also get a woodcutter. I'll put that over here. One thing to note, which is different than the demo, is your camps here have a sphere of influence. As you can see, the white circle, and that is the range in which they work, which is different than the demo that I was playing 2 weeks ago. And then last but not least, there is the foraging hut. We could start foraging the berries and the flax up there, so let's get one built here. And then I am going to need to create a path up there. Maybe like that. Perfect. Oh, that's not where I wanted that. Bulldoze. Let's try that again. Like there. So we could just treat the roof of the woodcutter as a path. Omri and D. Sagan, thank you for the resubs.
Paying taxes to the crown is your primary responsibility. Most colonies pay their taxes with ores. Copper pays best, but coal is more plentiful. Desperate colonies will ship out their construction logs. You would be wise to choose the path of non-desperation. Build and fully assign 2 workers to at least 1 mining camp.
2 workers to mining camp. All right. So we've got Madzi and maybe Breakfire in the mining camp. And then let's figure out where it is. Okay, so this entire plateau here really cannot be farmed on. Not really. So we'll just mine out that entire area there. We don't need to reserve it. All right, and then over here in the woodcutter, Qatar Nabla will be our woodcutters. I'm going to accept this.
To the crown is your
accept that quest, and then fulfilling the quest gives us one extra person, who is Wilk, a miner. Okay, Breakfire, you are already losing your job, being replaced by Wilk because obviously miners should work in a mining camp. And that brings us to our first giveaway. That was pretty quick, right? So giveaway timer is up, and after about 5 minutes, Wilk will have a name. All right, the other thing I'm going to need to focus on is making sure that I am building up the materials that I need for export. So I am going to mine some of the coal on the shore here. The coal out here is outside the sphere of influence of the mining camp, so I'm not going to be able to reach that coal. But trying to find resources that we can exploit to sell to the crown to pay our debts. And I mean, there is copper up here, but it's rather far. So hopefully we'll find something like subterranean when we dig a mining shaft. So another reason to dig out all this stone is we are going to need housing. And initially the housing that we're going to settle on is just going to be the very rough and basic stone garbage housing. So I just threw 6 of them down. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to prioritize one at a time. So rather than spreading out all the resources amongst all the housing and having everyone be homeless, we'll build one at a time functionally. All right, there's a whisker ship. And let's see if I like any of them. Can't smell and swift as a miner is pretty good. Can't smell means they're not affected by pollution, and swift means they move faster. So very likely I will take fleet. Smudge, an apprentice who can't smell and is a farmer. I also want them. So I'm going to take both of those. And then refuse the rest, because I no longer have any approval points to bring on anymore. So our population is now 8. That was pretty quick. Given that the population just went up, laying out even more houses. With the new miner that we brought in, this miner can maybe focus on... No, I'll put the mining camp at the same place. So the 4 unemployed people that we have right now, our 4 construction workers, is a farmer, an engineer, a miner, and a farmer. So one of the things that the farmers can do pretty early on is get fish from the ocean in order to feed ourselves. It makes for, honestly, terrible exported goods. Maybe I'll just put it right there. Because fish doesn't keep for the long travel back to the crown, but it will allow us to feed ourselves. So we don't have to lean into farming just so early. Yeah, you all know how much I love fishing, exactly. Can I go into what the Whisker's expectations are? Yes, so expectations is the quality of life that they expect. So, for instance, if we open up the population window here, expectations are raised when they are skilled, educated, or have positive traits, and it means that they have higher requirements. So someone with really low expectations can be thrown into a stone house and given like raw food and they're fine. A higher expectation person is going to need better than that. So the negative traits, for instance, like nosy, has a bit of a benefit because the expectations are basically none as a result. All right, foraging hunt. Let's put break fire in there. And another mining camp. Put fleet in there. and we are raffling off 4 people in 1 minute. So at the moment, I don't have any export goods for sale. And what's going to be important is for us to build up stuff to be able to export to the crown. So I think I'm going to set the forage priority for the forager up here to flax. We can't, well, we can export berries too, but I'll focus on the flax. All right, our first shelter is getting done, and I'll high priority the next one. And what I'm doing here is I'm grouping them together so they're easier to heat in our first winter. We've got 16 of 21 logs sent to the fishing dock already. That's great. All right, Turtle, you are joining our ranks. As is Omri, or Aram. We've got a Raveno. I should have one more. Is that it? Oh yeah, Am I missing someone? No. Maybe? No. Okay, cool. So in 2 days, I'm going to need at least 169 gold worth of export back for the crown. Oh, there are some berries nestled in these woods. And once we cut these trees down, this looks like farmable land as well, which is going to be nice. I picked a good spot, despite the fact there aren't a lot of exploitable ores. Alright, the 2 construction workers are both farmers, and they're both apprentice farmers. Which means that they will be good at fishing and farming. So once the fishing dock is up, we'll have them start fishing for us and supplying food for the colony. Yeah, when I get a lot of new mice, rename them to unnamed, I ought to do that. So the day is split up into 3 phases: the workday, the rest, and the sleep. And we're just about at the end of our workday. And you can see the work hours in the bottom right there. So we have 1 minute, 10 seconds left of the workday. And I'm just trying to get as many houses as I can. So, in order to expand our population and enact, like, town policies and the like, we're gonna need approval. And approval is earned by making people happy. And homelessness being solved definitely will make them happy, at least initially. So that's going to be a big one. So we already have 3 of the 8 houses total that we need. And all of the timber is, or almost all the timber is coming to the fishing dock. As you can see, the last 2 logs are being delivered now. Good. So there doesn't look to be much in the way of strategic resources revealed as a result of mining that hillside. If we go to the slice mode, and we lower the slice, you can see sort of like the ground beneath us. And maybe what we'll do is we'll start digging a mining shaft looking for strategic ores that are closer. Because I could go after the copper up here, but it's like kind of a long way. Although it might be worth it. I already have a staircase to here, so getting a staircase to there is not that much more work. It's just a long travel time for the ores that we have. Alternatively, I could set up a storage shed up here to aid in the cut down to the travel time. So that's a possibility as well. So during your evening phase here, they eat, they bathe, they tend to their needs, and then during the sleep phase, they're sleeping, obviously. Here are the ones that could not find beds, and day 1 has ended. I managed to gain 52 approval, and you can see that it's the breakdown. The fresh arrival, the 64 that I got from there, is obviously going to disappear pretty soon, so making sure that I'm attending their slept outside is going to be important. My low-quality housing is rough and stuffy. They don't really like it, but it's certainly better than being sleeping outside. The resources I gained, the resources I used, so I ate a bunch of hardtack, and upcoming taxes is 230. We have admin and population tax coming. You have generated a high amount of approval from your whiskers. Building a town hall will allow you to spend excess approval on powerful policies. Yes, but a town hall requires 55 planks. I have 0, so it's not like something I'm going to do right now. Oh, Weirlig, thank you for the resub. I'm going to keep mining this stone here, but I am going to use some of the logs that we've got so far to create a vertical staircase. God, that is going to be a lot of climbing. To get to the copper up here, so that we can definitely pay our bills. Alright, this miner here is... Actually, you know what I'm probably going to want first is a storage set up here built by our builders, and then once the storage shed is built, then I'll shove one of the mining shacks all the way up there. We're also getting the fishing dock built, which is great because we don't have a lot of food. We only have food for the remainder of the day. But today, a supply ship is coming, and the supply ship is going to offer us supplies at the cost of an increased tax burden, which we will take, of course. So, early game, one of the only ways to get machinery, which allows you to build complex buildings, factories, is through supply ships, because you don't have the ability to make it yourself. So you can take a little bit of supplies for a smaller tax burden, a lot more supplies, but in this case, this supplies, despite there being a lot there, it doesn't have machinery, which I am prioritizing, or refusing it, which pisses off the crown. And I don't want to piss off the crown, because I'm not ready for my little colony to get cannon barraged. Okay, I am going to hire a Raveno in being a fisherman. So, this is a new mechanic. The fishing dock, let me do that. In order to enable all of the work slots in the fishing dock, you need at least an apprentice. It could be an apprentice of any class. So it could be a navigation apprentice, a mining apprentice, but basically someone that has done an apprenticeship in this slot. Because if you don't, the building isn't able to be enabled. So because I have 2 farming apprentices, I don't really need to worry about that. But that's a concern. Now, there is an education mechanic that you get later on to be able to teach people. So the education that they have is a apprenticeship, a tier 2, which is a craftsman, or education, which is education is ideal for educating others, or alternatively research, because there's research buildings as well. We are more than halfway done with the shelters, and we're starting to get coal. I'm obviously going to need to do a fair bit of focus on making sure we get the copper that we need to pay the tax bill. So I'm going to move one of the mining sheds up here and start digging out the copper. And then I'm going to move the turtle. You're going to join them. So 2 miners are going to be up top at the top of the mountain, mining copper, and then 1 is going to be down here doing the stone. I do have a little gold back here. That is true. I could mine that in a pinch as well. Once this coal is mined out, I'll move the mining camp over to that gold, because that will help us pay the bills. And I'm going to high priority the storage shed here so that it's easier to deliver materials to the local shed. And I could even do the logistics of set the destination to the adjacent shed so they don't bother ever bringing it to the central warehouse. Because the central warehouse is just going to be obnoxiously far away until I get like better staircases and the like. And here's Turtle delivering it all the way down. There we go. Logistics, set destination, done. I can't stop Turtle from doing what he's doing, but at least the next one won't suffer the same sort of long run penalty. All right, now that I am pushing quickly for tax money, as you can see, it climbed really quickly as soon as I started getting the copper. We'll go for the gold as well. We have 5 houses already, which is fantastic. Here's the relax phase, and we did manage to get a few fish from the fishing dock, which is good. Keeps the bills paid and the people fed. Now, with my apprentice farmers, I'd also like to start a farm as soon as I get some planks. Turtle all the way down. Are we speaking means today? Yeah, I know that one. You know, the world's on the back of a turtle. That turtle's on the back of a bigger turtle. And a bigger turtle. And it's just a recursive, larger turtles all the way down. Yep. Not so much a meme as like a philosophy, I suppose. Yeah, look at that storage. Lovely. Alright, our taxes due went up for admin, fees, and pop taxes. But our approval is maxed. Nice. And the approval max goes up with your population cap going up. So, our approval should climb in time. So the tax collector arrives today, but I don't necessarily want to part with like logs and berries and fish because I want to construct and feed with that. So what I'm hoping to do is to mine up enough ores to be able to pay for ores. So here they are. They're arriving. And the way this works is you just have to fork over your resources. And I don't have a lot of resources I want to give them right now, so I'm going to wait till like towards the end of the day when I might have more resources to offer them up. Alright, we're getting the final houses built. Taxes seem to climb faster than during the demo, or is that the difficulty? Might climb a little bit faster, yeah. Alright, once Madsy mines up one more nugget of gold, I'll have that delivered. Come on, Madsy. There's not much left in the workday. Alright, deliver now. That doesn't look like delivering now, Madsy. Well, I do have some ores in here. Let's deliver these ores, please. I think we'll be fine. I mean, I already have enough money in. Okay, these miners no longer have things to mine. I'm gonna have them change their location back here, and I am going to attempt. So I'll hit Z, I'll attempt to mine into the mountain to see what resources are available in there. We're only missing one house now. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Oh, here's the gold. Perfect timing. Boom. All right, let's pay the tax collector. Now, if you send a partial, if you send, you can't really send nothing, but if you send a partial shipment, they get pissed. Sending them more will give you bonuses. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to send a large shipment. A large shipment is like a little bit more than they asked for, and the reason for this is it will give us more supplies, which is going to be useful early game, as long as we have the means to supply it. So here we go, large shipment sent off. All right, the next thing I would like to do is to start working on factories. So I want to get a sawmill going, and I'm going to put the sawmill right here next to the central warehouse so that we can start making planks of our own. Because there's a lot of buildings that are wonderful when you unlock planks. So you have met your first tax payment. Well done. We shall expect to see increased output from your colony going forward. Yay! Nothing like being penalized for success. I'm going to move this mining camp up here too. And we're just going to keep excavating this area. Whisker ship. Pause the game. Tippy, who snores and is a miner, wouldn't be terrible. Or the engineer that's a perfectionist. I'll take the engineer that is a perfectionist. And then I'm going to refuse the rest. So if I'm going to try to do it correctly this time. Sable. You're going to get raffled off. Timer's up. And good luck. So I intend for Sable to become the worker in the sawmill, or to aid someone working in the sawmill. And here is the... Oh, here it is. So, now that we have fulfilled a large order, we get to choose 2 of these gift supplies. I'm going to choose the Claw Visage, not because I actually want to build claw statues. So what these do is they will scare your citizens into running faster. But I want to select this so that it's not offered again, because I want other schematics. So I want to take this out of the schematic pool. And then I'm going to take the old rags, because having nicer clothing is something that people are going to want, so that they're not in threadbare clothing. I do intend to get farming for flax going so that we can make our own clothing, but that's going to take a minute for me to start in on. Alright, I would like to, as soon as I start to get planks, start a farm. So, of the other basic resource buildings, a farm requires 8 planks, and it allows you to farm the land, obviously. And then the earthworks is much better than the way earthworks worked in the demo, where you just designate spots that you want to fill, and the earthworks workers create the terrain. So the way that works is, like, if I want to fill in these spots that have the coal excavated, I would just click there, and they would bring the stone to those spots and autofill it. It's so much nicer than it was in the demo. So they really did learn a lot in the demo about, like, annoying game mechanics, and they aimed to fix them, which is great. All right, I did add one more person to our city, and I have yet to build the house for them, so we'll have one homelessness, but oh well. The stone dump was very annoying, yeah. And the earthworks. The other thing is the earthworks is offered up. It's not locked behind research and blueprints. So it's offered up immediately, which is great. Such a nice quality of life. So there's more copper up here. And I think I'm going to move the miner up there. I'm going to set up the logistics and fix this logistics. And then, before I end day, ooh, I found gold ore in here. We're going to mine up some up there. Alright, approval is back up to max. Nice. A few rude encounters. People being nosy or rude. Stylish fashion, because of the imported tailored clothing. So that's a nice bonus. Some people got, slept early in bed. You know, these are all different moods that we can try to min-max. Does this have a steep learning curve? Not really.
There have been reports of pirate ransom demands in your part of the world. Under no circumstances are you to yield, or to even consider paying their exaction. Should your colony survive, report back the pirates' shakedown tactics.
Okay, so I am going to accept this. We're going to refuse the pirates' demand, and we'll be awarded machinery and logs for it. And that's a lot of startup machinery. So far, we haven't found anything interesting in the mining tunnels. But that's fine. Par for the course. Alright, JJ, Panda Bear. You are the newest member. And a supply ship. This supply ship, I'm gonna go for the more expensive shipment because it has planks, and I want to get the planks early. It also had hardtack, which we were low on food, so that will help as well. We'll pay this back, of course, by exploiting gold and copper in the tops of the mountains, but those planks are going to allow us to start farming. So, cotton is one of the best exports to send back to the crown. Flax is used for yourself to make clothing. Trees is a renewable resource of trees, which we can put over here at some point. So I think what I'll do is I'm going to set up a field of cotton here. And here. Like that. Big old thing of cotton. So both of these are set for cotton. They have 90s, like, decent fertility. You can also remove rocks to slightly increase fertility. You only really have to do that once. And then the farm building that we put in should cover this entire circle. Which, if I put it here, it roughly does. Maybe I'll put it... Put the farm here. And then I'm going to hit H, rather, for the farm tool. Oops. No, the farm tool's N. N for the farm tool. Shrink the field right there. And then stick a staircase. So the farm might not hit every single tile, but that's fine. That's still a pretty big farm for 2 people to manage. Thank you for tuning in to Whiskerwood Pirate Seas, which originally streamed live on Twitch. If you have any feedback or questions for me, let me know in the comments below. If you would like to catch a live stream of mine, Rhadamant.com has my stream schedule and countdown timers to upcoming streams. If you'd like to join my online gaming community on Discord, Rhadamant.com has a link to it, as does the description of this video. Thank you so very much for watching. Special thank you to my Twitch subscribers, Patreon patrons, and viewers like you that support the channel and made it all the way to the credits. Thank you so very much. I hope to catch you next episode or an upcoming stream. Farewell, my fellow micekin.